So I heard the reason why R. Kelly's attorneys have yet to receive this discovery 2 years later after initially requesting it. People are saying the reason they hadn't got it is because they haven't went down to view it. That's an interesting narrative considering they recently posted a motion requesting the same discovery they've been asking for all this time. Why are they holding on to this evidence so tight when they've obviously shown it to so many different people, including the news? All these people keep speaking on what they've seen, what they've heard, what they know, but they still have yet to release it. Make sure you stay tuned for this full video, as I'll also refresh your memory on things that we have seen throughout this whole thing, and you tell me what you think about the fact, yet again, they're withholding evidence.
Facebook lied to you. Radio lied to you. Radio.
So if you saw my last video, I would like to, of course, apologize for all the wind in the background. I was trying to be slick, trying to do a little video on my breaks at work. Didn't work out. Now I see. But anywho, let's move on to the next video, and that is the fact that all this time has passed, and yet R. Kelly's defense has yet to get this evidence. All these people in the background have seen this evidence, and we're going to use this video to remind people of the things in which we feel are shady. People fail to realize situations like this, so let me bring this to the forefront. When it comes to any other situation, these people are claiming they want justice, right? But the way they're going about getting this so-called justice, obviously, if they really thought this man was guilty, they're providing all the avenues to appeal everything they have going on. Majority of everything we've seen displayed in our face would be grounds for dismissal in any other case, but not with R. Kelly's latest motion, in which the defense has requested yet again that this evidence be handed over. You also can take note that these people have intentionally been doing this. They cut this man's finances off, hoping he wouldn't be able to defend himself. They got these people continuously fooling with these attorneys, trying to pin one against the other, like two attorneys that they continuously target are the only attorneys this man has. But I digress. All this is going to go hand in hand to let you all see just how ridiculous this case against R. Kelly is. Regardless how you feel about him or his accusations, period, point blank. The law is the law, and justice is justice. It's not about you doing what you feel should be done. It's about what the law dictates as justice.
Singer R. Kelly, and now attorney Michael Avenatti is the story himself.
He took to Twitter overnight defending himself after getting arrested for trying to extort Nike for $20 million. Janelle Bluda is breaking down what he has to say. Janelle.
Yeah, guys, most attorneys tell clients to remain quiet when it comes to speaking out about their charges, but Avenatti is not taking that advice. This morning on Twitter, he's sending out a series of tweets. The first one, Avenatti was actually arrested just minutes after this tweet. It talks about a press conference he wanted to have this morning. He says to disclose a major high school basketball scandal perpetrated by Nike. The next one from after he bonded out of jail, sent around 2 a.m. this morning, where Avenatti thanks people for their support and says he's anxious for everyone to see what really happened. Lastly, from just a few hours ago, but it's already been deleted. It says any claim that Nike or their attorneys have been cooperating with the government for a year is bogus. They lied to prosecutors for over a year in connection to the Adidas case and hid their own payments. USA threatened Nike and demanded up to $25 million in payments. They say Avenatti claimed to have evidence of Nike employees funneling illegal payments to top high school basketball prospects and their families. Aside from that, Avenatti is also facing federal bank and wire fraud charges out of California. If convicted on those bank and wire fraud charges alone, he could face up to 50 years in prison. Guys?
Now, in any other case, we would notice that certain things would be grounds for dismissal. So we'll just highlight that before we proceed onto the video. The fact that you're telling the world that you have shown evidence in a case to a news broadcasting agency. You're having private meetings with this prosecutor, scheming upon the charges that you're going to be able to try to recreate. I could go on and on and on, but those are going to be the major two, considering that to this day we still have these attorneys fighting for this evidence so many people have claimed to have seen. Wouldn't that be grounds for dismissal? Of course, there are going to be some people saying, no, that's not right, blah, blah. They're going to make all these excuses for what we saw. We're going to disregard the fact that so much has come out about these people making all these allegations. We're supposed to disregard their character as an individual and give them so much credit for their information. Never mind that they're breaking the law right in our face, especially when it comes to Avenatti, who's not even supposed to be on social media right now. But we see how the law works for certain individuals, and the law doesn't apply to everybody in the same manner. So for those of you who are new to this fight and may have missed Michael Avenatti and Gloria Allred's involvement when it comes to this so-called evidence they have against R. Kelly, let's do a crash course, and I'll come back to the rest of my commentary, because all these people forgot to sweep their front and their back porch before they came out on these public platforms and start with the shenanigans. The problem is, it's too late to try to clean up all the bull crap we've seen, from the false narratives to the fact that they're breaking the law in our face. Period.
Bombshell discovery made after this man, Gary Dennis, was cleaning out a box of old VHS tapes at his home. Attorney Gloria Allred.
There was a VHS tape of what appeared to be R. Kelly sexually abusing children.
It would be the third sex tape that allegedly shows the disgraced singer engaged in sexual acts with underage girls.
He was telling them what to do and what to say, and it appeared that he was in control of the camera. In addition, he was engaging with these children in sexual abusive acts.
The box of tapes he was going through were sports tapes and had been in his home for many years.
I was searching through the box to see which old tapes and I wanted to keep and which ones I wanted to throw out.
He noticed one of the sports tapes also had R. Kelly's name on it.
To my shock and surprise, R. Kelly appeared to be on the tape, but not in concert. Instead, he was sexually abusing underage African-American girls.
The Grammy Award winner was just bailed out of jail for the second time in as many weeks after failing to pay child support for his kids. This week, he denied any allegations of sexual abuse in a nationally televised interview. And while his lawyers have yet to respond to this latest allegation, his attorney spoke in defense of the singer yesterday.
It's open season on R. Kelly. Everybody is now coming forward and saying, oh, I met this man and this is what happened. Look, there's no money.
Many people will dismissed the fact that Michael Avenatti and Gloria Allred were going back and forth on the internet about these so-called pieces of evidence. They're sitting there talking about this shit is fraudulent on public platforms because they're trying to discredit the other. But we're supposed to just ignore that. Just like we're supposed to ignore the fact that all these attorneys who are trying to make the impression or the illusion that R. Kelly is obstructing justice and paying off all these people, they want to blow past the fact that these people are obviously extorting this man. Didn't we see this woman get on national TV with two women talking about they done been with R. Kelly? The location of where this incident happened is off. They can't give you specific time, date, none of that with none of these victims. And then on top of that, she holding a freaking picture of another artist. And it might be coincidental, but the artist, LL Cool J, whose picture she's hanging up, was an artist who was blasting things that were going on in Washington and all these sex trafficking rings. So, that might be a message that was sent out to him. But I'm going to move on because that's a conspiracy and I ain't got time for all that. But anyways, back to the point. These extortionists that these people are calling attorneys are leeching off of these girls. They put them up to these grandeur stories. They give them these scripts to read off of in front of your face. And people are supposed to just look past all the obvious bullshit. That's very interesting to me. So let's move on. We got the characters of the people who brought the so-called evidence. Michael Avenatti and Gloria Allred. Both of these people have made careers off of extorting rich people. And
here is someone who at one point was a huge star, and now he's sitting behind bars, even if it's just for a day. He's got these accusations. He's not going to be able to tour. And people, unfortunately, there's this whole hashtag movement. Just because someone says something now and it's 2019, it doesn't make them credible. And just because they said something now and they haven't said something in a long time, it doesn't necessarily make them incredible. We have to look at the evidence. We have to look at what happened. I know on one of the cases, there are a number of interviews where the young lady says, I lied about how old I was. I lied to him about how old I was, and then recently said, oh no, I lied about lying about how old he was. We'll have to look at it.
Him the ID, the fake ID, then showed him the real ID. Don't misquote a victim, Mr. Greenberg. Don't misquote a victim. That's not what she said.
Well,
she initially lied to him, then she showed him a state ID. She was here today. Did you see her in tears while the charges were read?
So you have a book coming out, and
yeah,
I hope you sell lots of books.
I don't give a about selling a single book. I've talked to that woman, and I've talked to 47
What else is
others.
your question?
I'm not Mr. Avenatti, and I'm not you.
Okay, so let's try and keep it professional, and don't swear at me.
Cried in court a liar.
Well, just because they cried doesn't make them truthful. I said we're going to look at the evidence. Okay, we'll look at the evidence, and we'll look at the evidence. Let's keep it. Let's watch the swearing. Okay.
I did. I'm sorry. You're upset.
He has a storage facility where all of his equipment, stages, tour bus, and so forth are being held. Obviously, there's a lot of computers in there. The whole production is computerized. We expect that they're not going to find anything incriminating from any search warrant. Is that here in Chicago? The facility's out in the suburbs by O'Hare, but yeah, it's in Illinois. When Robert was arrested on the New York charges, they executed a search warrant on his condominium and also on the storage facility that he had here in Illinois. And we're not aware of any other facility, no other condominium, no studio or anything like that. I'd point out that to this day, New York certainly hasn't given us anything indicating that they found any incriminating evidence of any kind whatsoever. Right? They're gonna get all the computers. They're gonna go through them. They're gonna find a lot of music. Maybe they'll release an album. Who knows?
He's in very good spirits. I mean, the disappointing thing for him is that it's not going to trial sooner. You're left with the situation where the government is going to be allowed to introduce whatever belated evidence they come up with. So you're left with the choice of do you go to trial within a couple of weeks of getting that information, or you get a legitimate date. So he's disappointed from that perspective, but still very optimistic.
You know, when you're in jail, every time you talk to someone, you put yourself in danger of that person claiming that you said something that you didn't say, but it doesn't stop them. And if they have a video or something showing interaction, you just set yourself up for trouble. He's a high-profile inmate. He has to stay in his cell for safety and for his own peace of mind.
Now that we've gotten a crash course on what was going on, let's take a look at what was submitted January 24th, in which it says, "Dear Judge Donnelly, we respectfully submit this letter on Mr. Kelly's behalf as a motion to compel, seeking this court to immediately require the government to produce discovery materials to Mr. Kelly and his counsel, including but not limited to 3,500 and gigolo materials." In short, this court urged the government during at least one of the parties' status hearings to both cooperate with defense counsel and to produce all discovery sufficiently in advance of trial to allow Mr. Kelly and his counsel an adequate opportunity to prepare for trial and to avoid needless delays in the trial and or the continuance of the trial. It was Mr. Kelly's counsel's understandings that the government would produce all such materials 90 days prior to trial. That time has come and passed. There is simply no reason for the government to continue to withhold those important discovery materials, which are undeniably crucial to Mr. Kelly and his counsel's trial preparations, and to Mr. Kelly's defense and constitutional rights. Moreover, the government possesses the materials and has the ability to produce them immediately. The only reason that these materials are being withheld is to allow the government to gain tactical advantage and a gamesmanship. This action is decidedly not one that should be based upon trial by surprise, or trial with only an opportunity for one side to meaningfully prepare. All of this might be different if the government had not already had all or the bulk of these materials in its possession for years, or at least many months. The pandemic will make it even more difficult for Mr. Kelly's counsel to take investigatory and other steps once they finally receive these materials. That is exaggerated by the fact that the allegations in this case stem from events that are allegedly to have occurred literally decades ago. And by that fact, at some point, Mr. Kelly will be inaccessible while he is being relocated to Brooklyn for trial. The motion that the government would ever agree to or be forced to proceed to trial under these circumstances is absurd. In any event, to date, the government has only offered to produce the first batch or phase of these discovery materials, but only to produce those materials on February 5th. The government has not offered any explanations whatsoever as to why all of these materials cannot be produced immediately. Not has the government offered any timeline for the production of any additional materials. Mr. Kelly's counsels has attempted by way of emails and otherwise to meet and confer with the government to amicably resolve these issues, to no avail. However, A partial and non-qualified production of some discovery materials approximately 2 weeks from now will not resolve these issues. For all those reasons, this court should grant this motion to compel and order the government to immediately produce all discovery materials to Mr. Kelly's counsel and for such other and further relief as is appropriate under the circumstances. Sincerely, Mike Leonard. Now, a lot of people still haven't grasped the fact that they're holding R. Kelly on the presumption of guilt based on the government. So now the attorneys are arguing, hey, they keep holding the evidence. This is the reason they're holding R. Kelly, because presumably they're saying they have all this evidence. Let's see it. But hey, let's see how this is going to turn out. I'll be waiting for the response. I'll also post this in the community tab. What are your thoughts, again, on the fact 2 years later they have yet to receive this discovery, while everybody else keep talking about they've seen it and this and that? Have a good day.